Welcome, everyone, back to the Stronger Combined Results Conference. This is our second session that we are about to start. If you're just tuning in, this is a day-long conference related to the Stronger Combined project, which is a project that supports innovation in mobility in rural, small town, and tourist areas of the North Sea region of Europe. We have had one session already today related to technical solutions. So we learned about open data, we learned about data standards, we learned about machine learning and artificial intelligence in public transportation systems. And if you weren't paying attention, just understand that the future is here. Our second session today is related to something that if you are a mobility consumer, if you're a traveler, is probably something that you have experienced yourself, which is related to mobility hubs and the special role of bicycle sharing. As I mentioned in our prior session, we invite interaction from our audience both in the Zoom chat and with Mentimeter questions. And we have a Menti question here. Some of you are already logged in. That is great. If you're not, use this QR code and enter this code, and it will bring you to our question forum. Our Menti question is getting around less or making fewer displacements also a mobility solution in your opinion? So my interpretation of that question is just staying at home and working at home instead of going to work. Is that a mobility solution? We're interested in your answers, and we'll give you a few seconds to answer that. It's a simple yes or no question. Don't torture yourself over this. By the way, we're monitoring your answers and publishing them online. That's just a joke. We're not doing that. We won't reveal what your actual opinion is about getting around less or making fewer displacements is. So the results are in. There are 10 people. Oh, we have another no. Anyone else? Anyone else? Make up your mind. I know this is a very challenging. Oh, okay, we have another no. No's are catching up to yes. Okay, so we're going to call it there, 10-7. The yeses win, and that's decided. Getting around less is a solution. We've accomplished something at this Stronger Combined conference. Okay, moving forward. Our first speaker today is Sebastian T. Hannebo, who is also the project leader for Stronger Combined, but he also manages mobility projects within Region Värmland. Sebastian is a man of many hats. Top hats, beanies, baseball caps, bonnets, berets. He's wearing no hat today. But he is also a project leader at Region Värmland, which I just said, where he helps develop transport solutions on the ground. Most importantly to us, he is the leader of this project, and he will be presenting on commuter-centered bike sharing solutions. There's a video that we'll be playing, and afterwards we'll have a chat with Sebastian about some of the programs that he's working on.
Hi, my name is Sebastian and I'm project leader for Region Värmland here in Sweden. Back in the autumn of 2021, we launched our bike sharing system here in Karlstad and Arvika. We placed 10 bikes here in Karlstad and 5 bikes in Arvika, when we fitted them with smart e-locks for the bikes that you can control through an app and your smartphone. So you may wonder why we did this, and it's because that in the beginning of Stronger Combined, we worked together with the hospital here in Karlstad and in Arvika, and we sought to try to find out what their travel needs are. And we saw that a lot of people travel to these 2 big workplaces here in Värmland by train, but they also found it troublesome to change into a bus or to transfer the last mile to the hospital. Because both in Arvika and here in Karlstad, the hospitals are located around 2 kilometers away from the train stations. So our solution to this problem was to introduce a bike sharing system that would be direct and be available to the users already when they arrive at the train station. So they, number one, don't need to wait for another bus, and also it's in faster mode than just walking the 2 kilometers to the workplace. In order to make this happen, we needed a place to place the bikes. So we started a collaboration together with the municipalities of Arvika and Karlstad to be able to sort of form a parking lot for these bikes. This collaboration worked very well, and we decided to open up the bike sharing systems for the public as well, and not only for the employees of the hospital in Arvika and hospital in Karlstad. So we decided to procure quite some robust bikes to fit these e-locks on. And after we were able to secure bikes, we were able to launch back in September of 2021. We launched the bike sharing system, and it was very successful, and everyone was very happy about launch of this bike sharing system. Now, 1 year later, we can see that we have over 1,000 registered users and over 3,500 bookings, which means that we have a lot of people using the bikes on a regular basis. We can see that the standard behavior is that you borrow a bike in the morning and then you return it back in the afternoon, which is sort of supporting the idea that they're using it to commute to their workplaces. Outside of the normal workday, we also have quite a lot of leisure users of the bikes. That means weekends and evenings, and even nights at sometimes. We can also see that the usage of the bikes has been quite constant over the whole year, so even during the cold months here in Sweden where we have a lot of snow. We do change the tires into fitted winter tires in order to continue to service throughout the winter months here in Sweden as well. To summarize, we have learned a lot about our customer needs and that there is a demand for this kind of service. So we have learned that we should really continue to focus on combined mobility, even in the rural setting, in order to give a better service to our citizens of Region Värmland. And we are very happy, and this service has been more successful than we ever would have dreamed of, and then we are very happy to do this together with Stronger Combined and the Interreg program.
Wow. Thank you, Sebastian.
Thank you.
I'm really impressed with this system. I of course want to first ask if there are any questions from the world on Zoom. No, perfect. Then I can ask my question. So you at first you said that you started with 10 bikes in Karlstad.
Yes.
And five bikes in Arvika.
Yes.
Why was that? Did you think, were there more people coming from Arvika to go to the Karlstad hospital, or?
Yeah, so we worked together with the Arvika hospital, and they had a lot of traffic going down to the Karlstad hospital, as in work exchange, so work trips. So we asked them how, because we thought that the solution would be in Arvika, but they saw a problem in the Karlstad end, which was that it's far away, and then the train doesn't match up with the buses, so they rather just take the car instead. So we saw the demand would be higher in Karlstad, but we still wanted to find the first mile solution also in Arvika, and that's why Arvika is obviously much smaller than Karlstad also in population, so that's why they have fewer bikes in Arvika.
Yeah. No, so I kind of want to think about the full journey of someone that's living in assuming that someone is living in Arvika and working in Arvika, but I guess I can't take that for granted. But somehow they get to their job at the hospital, right? And then if they need to during the day go to the Karlstad hospital, they can take the train and then take a bike from there.
Yes.
And so when they're using this app, do they have to pay again when they use the bike again, or is there a time window when they can use the bike for free?
So this was a trial. So because we have the funding from Stronger Combined, we were able to offer this service for free. So we have been offering this service for free since September last year, and our hope is that we can continue to offer the service in the future. Whether or not it will be free or in a charged solution, this I cannot tell you today.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know that you also have a pilot involving buses.
Yes.
I don't know if the buses are in Arvika.
We do have them there as well, yes.
Yeah. So is there any way that a commuter going to the Arvika hospital could take the bus and link somehow within the same app from the bus to the bike? Or is that a next step dream or something that you've thought about?
So yeah, we obviously have a lot of solutions that are in different apps at the moment, but the what we really want to do is obviously to combine them all into like a sort of a one place, a one-stop shop that you can get everything done, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the future. That's where we have to be, because it's in order to have people change their behavior, it has to be very, very simple. So you have to just push them into one direction. Go here and you'll be able to solve everything.
Great.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
We're out
you.
of time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sebastian.
There is a question from the chat.
Okay,
All
great.
right.
From someone living in Karlstad. No name, but he or she wondering, how long will you keep the bikes?
So for the moment, it's until the project runs out, which is the end of the year. But we are looking at solutions to have them remain in Karlstad also after the project. So hopefully, fingers crossed, thumbs hold, then we'll have them for a longer time.
Vi håller tummarna.
Yeah.
But I see these bikes. They have they have a lot of a large extension coming out. There's the big butt on these bikes.
Yeah.
Well, is that for storage, or is that a solar panel?
So actually,
What's the purpose of this big butt?
the big butt of the bikes are so the bikes are actually cargo in a sense they are more robust bikes that you can move cargo, I guess. So you can be either a very large person or a package, or you can
put a person on the back.
yeah, but maybe not like legally, but
I was gonna say you could change your slogan to in Region Värmland you can put junk in the trunk.
yeah, junk in the trunk. That's
You heard
good.
it first. You heard it first. It's Stronger Combined. Okay, thank you, Sebastian.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to our next presenter.
Yeah.
And our next presenter is from a power duo, Lynn de Vos and Dieter van Hout from Westhoek region of Belgium. Sorry, I'm combining Flemish and English and Swedish here. Lynn is the Director of Welfare and Social Policy for DVV Westhoek, and Dieter is DVV Westhoek's Managing Director. They have supported at least 3 inspiring Stronger Combined projects that try to make non-automobile transportation options accessible and usable to populations in a rural region of Belgium, where driving a single occupancy personal vehicle is often an obvious option. Throughout the Stronger Combined project, the Westhoek Living Lab has reminded me that a good transportation system needs to be sensitive to how different populations with different accessibility and physical needs will need integrated, multidimensional transportation solutions. Today, they will be speaking about their Village Hubs solution.
Yes. We are the Intermunicipal Association of 17 communities in a very rural part of Flanders. So for us it was a great opportunity to be part of the Stronger Combined project, because it's a project focusing on rural mobility. I can't see the presentation.
No, we haven't started it.
Okay.
First we have to chit-chat.
Okay.
That's part of the program.
Okay.
So I welcome. Thank you.
you.
It's great to see you in person. I'm just first question I have before you get your presentation started. When you share this with your colleagues in other Belgian municipalities or counties, are they super jealous that you are part of Stronger Combined?
Of course they are jealous, because it gives us a network, a European network of rural partners that have the same challenges as us. So it's for us it's a great opportunity, and everybody is jealous in Belgium.
Have there been any? Seriously, have there been any signs that other communities are using these types of solutions or taking a cue from you all as like pioneers in this?
Yeah, we also had talked to Irish partners, for example, to show the model. Also in the Netherlands, they think it's a great solution. So yeah, we are going international.
Very exciting. Okay, well, I'm going to let you share that solution for everyone. Thank you.
Okay, so now I can really do the presentation. And I can see the slides, so this is great. So we already said that we are a rural partner in Flanders, and for us it's a great opportunity to be part of Stronger Combined, because this way we we can share on challenges in rural regions. These are a few figures that sum up how rural we are. For us, this is very rural. Of course, when we look at the countryside in Sweden or in Norway, that's a lot more rural than we are. But for us, it's a great opportunity to have similar partners in other parts of Europe. So this shows our 17 municipalities that are part of our association. Why did we start to work on these issues on mobility? We started in 2014 because at that moment there were several waves of public transport cuts, as is the case in many countries, I think, in Europe. But at that point we thought, okay, they will do some cuts in public transport. There is not a lot of public transport in our region, so they probably won't hit us, those cuts. They will leave us, but it was a wake-up call for us. They did find us to realize also a number of cuts in public transport at that point. So for us, that was really a starting point to think ourselves on how to deal with the mobility challenge we have in our region. So we did some research. We started a service design process in our region, and what was very new for us then was that we were going to focus not only on the supply of mobility, but we also had to focus on the needs of users, of people using mobility. That was a new way of looking at it for us. And we discovered quickly that 4 groups of people were very crucial. Senior people, youngsters, people living in poverty, and the so-called early adopters. And this wheel sums up why the strategy we developed at that point to work on mobility. So the right side of the wheel is very important for this story. The village hub was a critical solution, and this is what my colleague Lien will tell you about.
Thank you. We started with the concept of a village hub because we do believe that make fewer displacements or do them more efficient, it's also a solution for the mobility problems in rural countries. So we start up the village hubs with 3 targets. We want to reducing the number of trips or make them more efficient. We want to improve quality life in the rural villages, and we want to provide new mobility solutions. Stronger Combined made us do that. The mobility link we put in the village hub. So the 3 main components of the hub are, there are some social services you have to install. You have to install some commercial services, but because if you want to encourage people to make fewer displacements, you have to bring the services back to the village too. So that's very important. And the 3rd component is the mobility solution, of course. So I will give you a quick startup for dummies, how to start up a village hub. You have to find, first of all, the important key partners. In our cases, at the end of the presentation, we will show you a video of a case we developed. So you need, for example, the municipalities. You also need an employer, an institution who want to run the village hub. You also have to go in contact with the PT partners, the public transport partners, for example. And you have a wide range of potential partners, so you have to really think out of the box, and everyone could be a potential key partner in your project. You have to install then the key activities. So I already told it's the same as the 3 components. For example, in our village hub in Beveren aan de IJzer, it's one of our municipality. They have a cooperation with the local farmers, and then they sell the local farm products in the shop. So people don't have to go to the supermarket anymore in the urban city center. The mobility solution we installed is the bicycle sharing systems. So we want people to use the bikes for the first and the last miles of the displacement. So that was a solution within the Interreg project, Stronger Combined, we add to our village hub. And then also the social services are very important. People have to meet up each other, they have to know each other, they have to chit-chat. So that's very important. So the key resource are the humans. You need a social entrepreneur. In our case, it's an institution with people with disabilities, and the people with the disabilities themselves are the employees of the village hub. So that is the model we developed. You also need some volunteers, mainly it's the inhabitants of the village who can also be the volunteers of the village hub. You have to need a location. In the case on the picture, we were able to hire a former restaurant, so that's the location for the village hub. And you have also to develop a strong brand, so that's why the logo is very recognizable. The last thing that is very important is the customer relationship. You really have to do a co-creation session with your citizens, and you don't have to do it once, you have to do it all the time. You have to communicate with the villages, with the inhabitants. You have to support what you are doing through the social media channels. So that's very important. You want the village hub, it's their village hub, it's their ownership somehow. There's also a cost structure, of course. You have to rent the space, you have to sell some things when that would be able to rent the place you need. So there's a cost structure behind. If some people are interested, we can also bring it to you in the chat a little bit later. So we started with one village hub in 2018. Now at this moment in 2023 the 8 will start up. So it's very successful. And there are some pictures of all the 6 village hubs who are running now at this moment. So we have different locations. And we will end the presentation by showing you a movie. I had the theoretical things and now you can see in the movie how it's on the field.
Het dorpspunt is eigenlijk een winkel waarbij we de producten verkopen van de lokale boeren. We doen ook deels klusjes op het dorp, bijvoorbeeld thuisleveringen of de stoep vegen. En dan kunnen mensen ook gewoon binnenkomen voor een kopje koffie te drinken of verse soep te drinken.
Het dorpspunt is eigenlijk opgestart geweest met bevragingen in het dorp, omdat er hier echt niet meer veel was. Mensen hadden graag hier terug iets gekregen op het dorp, al is het maar om hun dagelijkse boodschappen te kunnen komen doen van groenten, fruit. En dat hebben wij dan nu samen met de LOVI kunnen organiseren, zodanig dat we hier een dorpspunt van gemaakt hebben. Eigenlijk een atelierwerking met bewoners met een verstandelijke beperking. Wij proberen eigenlijk onze bewoners een zeer zinvolle, nuttige dagbesteding te geven die gekoppeld is aan een winkel en een ontmoetingsplaats in het dorp hier.
Wij zijn zeer gelukkig met de komst van het dorpspunt, want in het dorpspunt vind je echt alles. Voor ons is dat een gemak, vermits dat je hier anders geen winkels hebt in de buurt. Anders moest ik dagelijks de wagen nemen om een boodschap te doen en nu neem ik eigenlijk heel de week de wagen niet meer, want ik neem echt alles uit het winkeltje.
De vraag kwam even van iemand die zei van ja, zouden jullie eens iemand langs kunnen sturen om een glas op te halen en naar de glascontainer te doen? En dan deden wij dat. En toen begon bij ons het idee te rijpen van maar ja, de bewoners die kunnen dat, die doen dat graag. De glascontainer staat in ons bereik, dus dat is wel veilig, we zouden dat kunnen aanleren. En dan halen ze het glas op met de bakfiets of de kruiwagen en dan leveren ze dat aan de glascontainer. Ons gamma breidt, vind ik zelf, enorm uit, omdat mensen zelf afkomen uit vragen van wat kunnen wij nog meer betekenen voor jullie, wat kun je nog meer voor ons doen, zoals zelfs PMD-zakken, de blauwe zak. Daarvoor moesten ze enkel nu nog naar een groot warenhuis en dat zorgen we dat ze dat hier nu ook kunnen komen kopen.
Je komt elkaar toch veel meer tegen dan vroeger. Anders is dat in je auto boodschappen gaan doen en nu, wel, je ontmoet elkaar in het winkeltje, je doet een praatje en dat is alleen maar positief voor het dorp. En voor de verbondenheid met elkaar, dat is eigenlijk, dat doet enorm veel. Dat brengt leven in de brouwerij, zeggen wij.
Welcome back. So first, I want to say congratulations. This was one of the first, when we met in March 2019, you showed us a video of how it all began, and it really seems like it has worked. This project has really worked, so I'm really impressed and inspired. There's a question from the audience, from Jürgen Stein, I think is his name, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. And he had a question about who the early adopters were. I worked for a city from some time, and there were, a couple of characters that would show up to all the meetings. They would always, their opinions were like never in question. They were like burning souls within the community, and I wonder if if there are specific early adopters that you had in mind as you were developing this.
We focused on people who don't have a car because it's the countryside. If you have a car, if you have 2 cars, 3 cars, 4 cars sometimes, you don't have a problem, you get everywhere. So we focus on people who don't have a car, and early adopters for us that are people that really choose not to use a car. And so they are burning soul, I think. But they really choose not to do it. They want to do it in another way, and in the countryside it's hard to do it like that, so that's why they are for us the early adopters.
And have you seen them come?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's, for example, the families who have 2, 3 cars and then they skip one, so they only have 1 car left, and then they find another solution for the displacement, the other displacement. For example, now the speed pedelec or something.
The what?
The speed e-bikes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. One more question. We're actually like behind on time. Now there are, you said there are 8 coming in 2023. How many are there now?
There are 7 operational, yes. Yes, the 8 will start up in, I think...
8 more or one more?
No, one more.
Okay.
In the half of 2023. So yeah, that will be the 8, and I think it's quite a success. But it's always the same entrepreneur that is organizing the hubs.
And I have one more question. So these different hubs, is there any kind of interaction between them? Do they, if you're a member at one hub, can you, or like, do you get any special recognition or benefits going to another hub, or are they?
No, and the services maybe are different sometimes because each village has other needs. So there aren't 2 the same village hubs, but they do interact because the inhabitants meet each other. Also outside of their own village, so there is an interaction also to develop services.
One of them is in a station, a train station, a small train station, of course, and another one, for example, is in the village like Beveren, as you saw in the movie. So that is a totally different kind of hub when you see them.
Right. Wow, very interesting that they're developed for the place where they are and for the people that go there. Thank you for your presentation. We need to move on.
No problem. Thank you.
So, yes, round of applause. We have a round of applause in the studio. Very good. Next we will hear from Marianne Fredericks, who directs the mobility department in the city of Genk, Belgium. Genk is a city of 70,000 people, which is the closest thing to a big city in the Stronger Combined project. Genk has piloted 2 innovative bicycle pilots that aspire to increase personal bicycle use by allowing different populations to try different types of bicycles. The city of Genk has been on quite a journey from the beginning of Stronger Combined. So welcome, Marianne. Hi. I'm going to begin before we even get started. Do you have a favorite type of bicycle?
A good question. I like the more the hybrid bikes, so you can use for commuting, but also for more for racing. So it's
Sorry, you need to have the mic.
Oh.
This is for Maya.
okay.
One more time answering the question. Sorry.
Yeah, so you were saying you like so I asked what your favorite type of bike was. You said the hybrid bikes.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
Yeah.
So both for commuting and more for sport during the weekend.
Yeah. And do you yourself use a bicycle?
Yeah, often. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have many bikes also, so it's I'm a bike lover indeed. Yeah.
Great.
That's also why I like this job, to promote cycling, invent cycling strategies. Yeah, it's a nice job, I think.
Great. Exciting. Okay. My understanding is that you have a video presentation.
Yes, I will start my presentation with a short video about the city of Genk, and then I will have a normal presentation.
Great.
So,
Thank you.
yeah, let's start the video. So this was a short video of the city of Genk in Belgium. I hope you all enjoyed the video about the city of Genk. It's a lovely city in the country Belgium, in the Flemish region. Today I will present you some cases about bike sharing in the city of Genk. First, more about the city of Genk. As you have seen in the movie, it's a really nice city. It's a green city with a lot of diversity. A lot of people with other nationalities are living in the city. At this moment, we have 99 nationalities living together. So quite a diverse city. It's a very car-dominated city. We used to have a big car manufactory in Genk, Ford, Genk. So we have some history. People in Genk love their cars. So a car-dominated city, which can be challenging if you need to invent good cycling strategies. but it's an interesting challenge, a challenge that we take. So the city of Genk, based in Flanders, a really car-dominated city with a diverse population and also very young population. 22.5% is under the age of 19 years old. When we look at Genk, we see that Genk is not like most other European cities. It did not grow historically around a core, so it doesn't have a real city center, a real core. It's more a city with different functions spread all over the city. This has an historical aspect. When coal mines were discovered in the ground, when coal was discovered in the ground, things 100 years ago moved very fast. Major infrastructure and buildings projects were spread over the city without worrying too much about the existing landscape. So you can see on the slide beneath that everything is spread, that functions and houses are spread over the city without a real city center. When we look at Genk, we see many neighborhoods, so it's really a network city with many neighborhoods. The citizens of Genk, they don't feel themselves like residents of Genk. They feel themselves like citizens of different neighborhoods, like Bokrijk, Winterslag, Waterschei. So they really have a strong connection with their neighborhood and not with the city. When we look at mobility-wise, we believe that we have to make some optimizations and we have to use those network approach, those raster approach. We have to use that as a strength. So when we are developing a Flemish strategy, which is called the hop-in strategy, when we want to implement the strategy in Genk, we need to follow those strong link with those neighborhoods. So we will develop mobility hubs in the city of Genk. It's a Flemish strategy. And the goal is to develop in Flanders 1,000 mobility hubs. For Genk, we have defined 17 places where we would like to also install a mobility hub. A mobility hub is a place where different mobility options come together. As you can see on the slide, public transport, car sharing, bike sharing, e-scooter, everything comes together in the mobility hub, and we call it hop-in. When we look at the past years, there were some important steps we had to take. There was first, in 2019, there was a new law on mobility, so a law on a Flemish level, so the level of the region. Then 2 years later, there was a Flemish mobility vision. And then 1 year later, there was a regional traffic plan realized. Those different steps were needed to come to the point where we can really install those hop-in punten, so mobility hubs based on a Flemish strategy. So during the Stronger Combined project, we made different steps towards realizing this strategy. When we look at the hubs for Genk, we used 3 different criteria to select the hubs. So the first criteria was density, the second was spatial distribution, and the third one was the current availability of public transport. The strategy was launched in the city of Genk by our mayor and also our minister of mobility. You can see them on the slide. You also see some shared bikes on the pictures. And in this second part of the presentation, I would like to focus more on the bike sharing projects we did it, since for us they are really an important element in the cycling strategy and also in the strategy on the hop-in punten or the mobility hubs. Focusing on bike sharing, for us what we learned is that at the start you really should start with the question which problem you would like to tackle. And for Genk, for us it's quite clear, we want to realize a model shift on the one hand, and on the other hand we would like to reduce traffic poverty. Who is our target group? That's a second important question. And for us, we have defined different target groups, and those different target groups will also result in different bike sharing measures. So important target group for us are the inhabitants, students, tourists, and also the visitors of our city. Next question, and third important question, is you need to think about how you would like to be your system. Should it be bikes with gears? Should it be electric bikes, not electric? Should it be cargo bikes? Do you prefer a free-floating system or more a system with drop zones? So all important questions you have to take. Related to your target group and also related to the goal of your project. Next and fourth question is about the location and the scale. Again, thinking about your target group, thinking about your goal, you need to define which place is the best place to locate your bike sharing solution. And for Genk, of course, we have the hop-in strategy, so also the 17 locations from our mobility hubs or interesting locations to start up bike sharing solutions or projects. And then the fifth and the final question, it's an important question, it's cooperation. Which are interesting partners to cooperate with? It can be social organizations, it can be businesses, bike shops, traditional bike sharing companies, some sponsors. So we would really, our advice would be that you think with an open perspective and that you think outside the box. So there's more, I think, cooperation with a traditional bike sharing company is possible, but when you are working in a place like Genk, where the bike sharing measures will not be used so much, you should think further than traditional bike sharing companies. So this is the funnel we took to decide on which bike sharing project we should start. And this led to 5 different bike sharing solutions, which I will present in the next slides. So the first one, we call it Cycling Paradise Limburg. So it's a regional bike sharing solution, and it's really focusing on tourists. So different kind of bikes are in the system. So normal bikes, e-bikes, child bikes, and can be rented per day during the tourist season. And we have them on 5 places in our city. But it's really focusing on tourists and visitors. The next interesting bike sharing solution is focusing on commuters. It's a national bike sharing system, but we have them on one place in Genk, where the train station is, and people can use them per trip. It's a back to one system starting from the train station. Then the third one, we are very proud of this one. It's also it's a national concept in Belgium. It's called a cycling library. So it's like going to the library, but instead of getting a book, you get a bike. So it's for children from 2 to 12 years old. They go to the cycling library, they get a bike. For a few months they drive that bike, and if they are getting older and bigger, they can go again to the cycling library and they will receive the next bike. So it's from 2 years old to 12 years old, and they will have like 5 different types of bikes. So it's a really nice project. And it's located in a school in the city center, but all citizens in Genk can go. It's an open system, not only for the children of that school. So it's a really nice project focusing on children. The next bike sharing solution, and that's the solution we have tested within the scope of the Stronger Combined project. It's focusing on residents, and we have tested different bikes, different kind of bikes, and how it works. Citizens can rent, not renting, they receive for free a bike for 2 weeks. So they can borrow a bike for 2 weeks. It started almost more than 2 years ago, in June 2020. We cooperate with a local bicycle dealer. We had to do some procurement to get to that cooperation, but yeah, it's a good cooperation with a local bicycle dealer. We tested the concept in 9 neighborhoods during 30 test periods, and we had more than 300 different users. We did a during and after measurement, and I will show you now in this presentation a few results of the after measurement. So many bikes were tested. You can see on the slide the most popular bike test was the electric bike, but also the speed bike, so the speed pedelec as we called that bike. We also had an e-cargo bike and a folding bike that people could test for free for 2 weeks. The most important thing for us was that this project would lead to more bike ownership. So that's why we also worked with a voucher. So people who tested the bike for 2 weeks, after that test period, they could buy the bike with a discount of 10%. So as you can see on the slides, I cannot see it, sorry, but a big percentages went after the test period bought a bike. Some used also the voucher, and other people are planning to buy a bike in the future. And this is information about how long after you tested the bike did you decide to buy an electric bike. And as you can see, most of them decided it within the time frame of 2 months. But still others are still deciding if and when they are going to buy a bike. The last bike sharing solution is another cycling library. So first we had the cycling library for kids, and at some point we decided, or we felt that there was also a need for a cycling library for adults. So that's why we decided also to set up a service for adults, that adults could also borrow or lend a bike in the cycling library for adults. And there we decided to work with regular bikes and also to work with e-bikes. This started in March 2021. There we have another kind of cooperation with a social economy partner, which is called Springplank, and it's a non-profit organization where we work together with. We also have child seats and cycle bags for rent, because we also felt that there's need for that as well. Since the launch of this project, we had 58 different users, and what we see is that there is more interest in the electric bikes than there is interest in the regular bikes. Our conclusion, we would all ask you to use the funnel to define your bike sharing project that really fits to your needs. And to end, we really have a strong belief that projects towards more cycling ownership, that it's important to organize that next to traditional bike sharing solutions. And the good news for us, for the city of Genk, is that everybody really liked the 2 pilots, and that we will continue those pilots after the project.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Very inspiring presentation. Thank you. We are out of time.
Okay.
So we need to move on to our next speaker. Okay. But thank you so much. Our next presentation is actually a virtual tour of a bike share system in Inverness, Scotland. My understanding is that this video is made by Vicky Trelfer of High Trans, the Transportation Authority of Scotland's Highlands and Islands. Vicky, are you with us today?
Hi, yes, hello.
Hi, nice to see you. How's the weather in Inverness? I see you have a background, but does it reflect the actual weather there?
No, the actual weather is the opposite of my background. It's raining really hard.
All right, well, at least we can pretend. Vicky, we're excited to see this video. Is there anything that you want us to know about the video before we show it to everybody?
No, I think it's mostly self-explanatory. I would just say that the inspiration for setting up the bike scheme was similar to Sebastian's project. It was a solution to the first and last mile of journeys made by public transport. And so you can see for yourself how it works.
All right, welcome back. Vicky, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Thanks for sharing that video. Why don't you tell us well, first let me ask, was this the first bike sharing system ever in Inverness?
Yes, the very first.
Yeah. So I imagine when you install something like this, there are some challenges. Can you tell us about maybe the biggest challenge and then the biggest maybe happy surprise or biggest success that maybe you didn't expect?
So actually our biggest challenge was the COVID pandemic, because we started this all off in 2020 and it was supposed to launch in December 2020 and it actually launched in October last year, so it was almost a full year late. in terms of setting it up, it was relatively straightforward. We had really good partners that we worked with for the first 3 stations. So the campus were really enthusiastic about it. Great Glen House is was the base of a nature organisation for Scotland. So they were also very positive. It was a bit tricky to get it into the railway station just because of the bureaucracy and processes that you have to go through. So that was a real learning experience for us, I think. But once it was in, it all works amazingly well, and it's really popular.
Oh, that's really good news. I guess my impression was that modes of transit like bike sharing or bicycles in general would have become more popular, maybe as people decide not to take the bus or not to carpool. But was that was not your experience, I'm assuming?
No, well, I mean, it was once the bikes were in. I think that the delays were more around like availability of people to make decisions and like do all the preparatory work. I think everybody was really overwhelmed with you responding to the pandemic, and they didn't quite have the space to take on this additional thing in their workload.
Understandably. Well, thanks again for presenting. It's great to see how these different systems are emerging in different places and being set up to respond to the needs of the population that are there. We're going to move forward. So thank you very much. And our next and final presentation of this session is another virtual presentation from Friso Metz of Share North. Friso is a senior advisor from Advier. He can correct me with the pronunciation of that name, a Dutch consultancy located in Delft. His presentation is called Planner's Guide to the Shared Mobility Galaxy. And I'm especially interested to hear this because I am myself a trained urban planner. Friso, do you mean urban planners, or what kind of planners are we talking about? Wedding planners? Tell us a little more.
Well, not really a wedding planner, Robert. I'm urban and mobility planner with focus on mobility management, shared mobility, and behavior change. And in Holland, we say advier. Some people say advier. You can say it any way you want. I think we have some understanding.
Great. And how's the weather in Delft today?
Today it's autumn weather, so not very beautiful, and it's getting colder here. But I think not so cold as in Gothenburg.
No, it became cold suddenly today, or the last few days.
We'll have that tomorrow.
We have blue skies, which is always the way it is in Gothenburg.
That's perfect. I should have been there.
All right, we're excited to see your presentation. The stage is yours, Friso.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for the invitation to be in the Stronger Combined conference. And I will give a brief introduction to the guide called Shared Mobility Rocks. I think the guide has this name has a certain vibe in it, and it's derived from the Share North project, which was really on shared mobility, which also was an Interreg North Sea region project. Now it's finalized already. And indeed, we are based in Delft, but also in Zwolle, and we like medieval buildings to work on the mobility on the future. So welcome with us if you're somewhere around in the Netherlands. Well, here's the guide. It's available for free at the Share North website. It's also translated in Swedish, German, and Dutch. So you can read it in many languages. And if you prefer a paper version, you can also order it at Amazon.com. Well, maybe the interaction now is not perfect, but just think of yourself. How many forms or subforms of shared mobility do you know? You can already see some nice icons here below You can also download them at the Share North website. I'll just show you the answer. Here is the options of shared mobility that we found, and it's not definite, so maybe there is even more shared mobility options. We even discovered helicopter sharing, so perhaps that's an idea for the next project. Anyway, it should be electric, I guess. In the guide, we have collected 40 great case studies, and we derived 10 golden rules of shared mobility, and I'll just briefly show you some of these golden rules. To start with number 1, we discovered that shared mobility is decreasing car dependency, and a big reason for people to own cars is because they need it to get around, especially at the countryside, but also in more urbanized areas. People are dependent of a car, or they think they are dependent. That's also an option. So we can see that this creates problems on a global scale, like the climate, but also on a regional scale, if it's on congestion issues and livability issues, and in a local context in cities and countrysides, villages. There is problems with livability, with parking problems, etc. So there's many problems on all thinkable scales related to this car dependency. So, and like we heard from Genk, originally the car is being placed centrally in our mobility policies, and the other modes are like, well, the other modes are called alternatives. So what if you introduce shared mobility? With shared mobility, you want to, shared mobility doesn't need to be big, but it should foster a change from this car dependency to the other modes. And if this works, and it works in conjunction with all other policies like cycling policies, public transport policies, walking policies, you want to aim for a different design of your mobility strategy. You can, we call this picture the mobility pyramid, but you can see it in many forms, but mostly shared mobility is not in it, and we put it in this pyramid. Just to skip some rules, because time is not there to tell you all, I think number 4 is very interesting. We can see that some shared mobility modes, they have small environmental impacts, but get many people into sharing. And I show here a picture of the shared scooters. Of many people can have doubts, like what's the impact of that, and would it help the environment, and it raises many questions. But the deeper knowledge here is that it gets people into sharing, and we can see that if once they start using shared mobility, they get to know other forms of shared mobility that might have a bigger impact. I liked the idea of the bike libraries. We found them in many places in Belgium, and it's a great example of a shared mobility form that is non-commercial, but has many positive social impacts. So it's maybe the other end of the spectrum, like the shared scooters with global commercial players and big money, etc. This is also a way of sharing, and but it's not commercially viable, so you need governmental support to get this up and running. So there's we can see 3 speed levels in that way. There's the forms of shared mobility with a high impact, but maybe not such a strong appeal. There's the examples of low impact, but with a high appeal. And of course, there's some forms in between. It's all written in the guide. And actually, if we are smart, we could use those examples like the shared scooters or free floating car sharing or other forms with high appeal to foster a shift to the ones with a high impact but with a lower appeal. And we can already see that it works this way. So this is an interesting strategy to get people into sharing. We also discovered, and that's rule number 5, the more forms of shared mobility are in place, the larger the synergy effect. So if there are more forms of shared mobility in one area, there's more target groups to be served, there's higher awareness, higher visibility of the shared mobility, and it's getting more attractive to use one of these forms. And again, if you know how to open a bike with an app, then the shift to use a car sharing with an app is smaller, and you get many more options. And this all results in a lower car dependency. And by that, the car ownership can go down, and we have all the societal benefits. But we also see that the market for shared mobility will grow. Because there's more interest, more appeal, which will result in more sharing options. So in that way, the circle is round. And just a few more things to share. Of course, you all have noticed that it's easier to get things done in dense areas and cities where the government also supports it and gives place for it, like the city of Ghent in Belgium. And in local areas, and I think I don't need to explain it to you, the local cooperation is the key to success. And with mobility hubs, but also mobility as a service, we can see that these physical and digital integration, that's rule number 9, they increase the visibility and the attractiveness of shared mobility. So you give a statement like it is here, and you make it visible. You show that it's integrated with other forms of mobility, which can be a local bus stop in the countryside. These pictures are from the north of Holland, from a project that we run. It can be in conjunction with a train station, or even a petrol station, or just a local village with all kinds of services. And to end my story, it might sound like a bit sad end, but I think it's not. We know that car ownership is rather deeply rooted in our societies. We cannot change it overnight. So that means that if we introduce shared mobility, we need to take our time, and it takes a long time and big effort to change things. So take that time. So that's the positive message. And make shared mobility rocks. So that's the vibe I would like to share with you. Thanks for your attention, and for the invitation. And if you want to download the guide or these nice icons that I showed, please go to the sharenorth.eu website. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Friso. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but we really appreciate it. It seems like you've packaged the rules for planners in an easy, accessible medium. So thanks again.
You're very welcome.
We are now going to take a very short break. We will be back in 2 minutes to hear from some reflection on mobility hubs and bicycle sharing from our expert panel.